She walked into a room and every eye went to her. It wasn't just the beauty. It was the way she moved, the way she spoke, the way she looked at you like you were the only person in the room. She was warm, intelligent, funny, independent. Not dramatic, not picking fights over nothing, not jealous at the drop of a hat. She seemed balanced. She seemed mature. She seemed like exactly what you always said you wanted. And when you finally got with a woman like that, something strange happened. First, it was great. Intense. Different from anything you'd experienced before. But over time, without realizing it, you started to change. Not on purpose. Not with bad intentions. But you changed. And you probably didn't understand why. So I'm going to explain exactly what happened in your head, because understanding this could completely change the way you relate to a woman of value. When you conquer something you considered hard to have, your brain releases dopamine. It's the same mechanism that makes a game addictive. Conquest generates pleasure. But when the challenge ends, the dopamine drops. And then you unconsciously start testing the limits of the relationship. Not because you don't like her, but because your reward system needs new stimulation. You start replying to messages more slowly. Not because you were actually busy, but because something in you wants to see what happens. You cancel a plan and watch her reaction. You stop doing the things you did at the beginning. And you wait. This behavior isn't conscious most of the time. It's almost automatic. And it's exactly where you start losing a woman who is worth something. Now pay attention to what she does next, because this is where everything is decided. If she starts chasing you, you lose interest even faster. Not because you're a bad person, but because the male brain interprets easy availability as a signal of low value. It's harsh, but it's real. If she goes quiet and keeps living her life without showing desperation, something different happens in your mind. Her value rises. The interest comes back. And you start wondering if you're losing something good. This isn't a game. This is basic attraction psychology. And you need to understand this before acting on impulse. The woman you say you want is precisely the one who doesn't need you to be happy. Who has her own life, her own purpose, her own joy in things that go beyond the relationship. And when she shows that genuinely, not as a strategy but as reality, she activates something very primal in you. The instinct not to lose something valuable. Problem is that many men, when they find a woman like this, feel a threat they can't name. She earns well. She has her own opinions. She doesn't need help solving her own problems. And you, raised in a culture where being needed was part of masculinity, start to feel unnecessary. You start feeling like she doesn't need you. And you confuse that with her not wanting you. And then you self-sabotage. You create conflict where none exists. You start controlling small things to feel like you have some power. Or you simply disappear without a clear explanation because you can't name what you're feeling. And she's left not understanding what she did wrong when in fact she did nothing wrong. Problem was inside you. So here's the first real tip. Before reacting to her behavior, ask yourself whether what you're feeling is a legitimate threat or just your ego being challenged. There is an enormous difference between a woman who disrespects you and a woman who simply doesn't need you to function. If it's the second option, the work is yours, not hers. The second tip is about presence. Many men think valuing a woman means giving gifts, paying bills, or making public declarations. But the woman of value you say you want isn't after that. She wants real presence. She wants you to actually be there when you're with her. She wants you to listen without already thinking about your reply. She wants you to notice when something is off without her having to explain everything. That requires emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is built intentionally. Third tip is about consistency. The man who pursues and disappears is the man she will one day stop waiting for. And when she stops waiting, she doesn't announce it. She simply moves on. And you'll only realize it when it's too late. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. It means she can count on you not just in the good moments, but in the moments where showing up is harder. Fourth tip is the most important and the one fewest men want to hear. A strong, balanced, high-value woman will not shrink herself so you can feel bigger. If you need her to be less so you can be more, the problem isn't the relationship. The problem is how much you still need to grow. The man who is ready for a woman like this doesn't feel threatened by her strength. He feels attracted to it. He can be needed not out of her obligation, but out of his own choice. He contributes to the relationship genuinely, not to compensate for an insecurity. And when you reach that level, everything changes completely. You stop testing. Stop disappearing to see if she chases you. Stop sabotaging what's good out of fear of losing it. 'Cause you understand that the relationship that will last is not the one where she made herself smaller so you could handle it. It's the one where you grew enough to deserve it. She was exactly the kind of woman many men want, but few were ready to have. Question that remains is simple and direct. Are you ready?